Today, we're going to be talking about how Pinterest SEO actually works. This is going to be a no BS guide to Pinterest SEO. By the end of this video, you are going to understand all the different ways that your content can be discovered inside of Pinterest, how the Pinterest search engine actually operates and works, what Pinterest looks for when they actually are ranking pins inside of Pinterest. And finally, we're going to wrap this video up by talking about actionable steps that you can take today to actually search engine optimize your pins and your profiles inside of Pinterest. So if that all sounds great to you, let's jump right in. Now, when it comes to Pinterest, there are basically 3 different ways that your content can be discovered. And all 3 of these ways are very different. So it's important for you to understand what each of these are so that you know how to optimize for each of these areas to be discovered. So the first one we have here is the home feed. The home feed is basically when you go into Pinterest, either on mobile or desktop, you can see it drops you into a feed like this. And this is a feed that is personalized to you based on things that you've interacted with recently, whether you've saved something to your board or commented on something, liked something. That's what the home feed does. It's also called the For You page. They copied TikTok for that. So For You as well, right onto here. The second one is the watch tab. Now the watch tab is very similar to the home feed, except it's videos only and it only shows on mobile. So this is basically the Pinterest answer to TikTok as well, where content is being shown to you based on things that you've interacted with on the platform. Now, these 2 right here have more to do with the social side of Pinterest. It's more based on things that you've interacted with and algorithms feeding you different content. And that's why Pinterest is both a search engine and a social media platform, is because of the home feed and this watch tab. But it's a search engine because of what we're going to be going over now. And that's the third way to discover content on Pinterest, and that's through search. Now, inside of search, you notice there's different ways that people can search. It's either all pins, videos, boards, profiles, and products. And let me show you what I mean by that. So when you come to Pinterest and you're actually going to search for something, let's say that we're looking for modern kitchen design right here. You can see that right now this is just searching for all pins, but users can also come in here and search for just videos, and they'll show up a bunch of different videos, or they can come in here and just search for boards, and it'll show them a bunch of different boards or profiles. So then I'm wanting the profiles that have to do with modern kitchen design or even products. So what we are going to be going over in this video is how to show up in the top for all of these different categories when people are searching for specific keywords. That's what search engine optimization is about. It's about showing up when people are searching for your specific keyword. Now, these other 2 aspects of Pinterest are super important, but like I said, we're not going to be covering that in this video. I will have more videos coming out on how to optimize for home feed and watch tabs soon. So be sure to subscribe if you're interested in those kind of things. So now we understand the 3 different ways that we can actually be discovered inside of Pinterest. Let's actually talk about how the Pinterest search engine works. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate this on how the search engine works. So I want to keep this very simple. Pinterest's goal is to match the most relevant content for the user's search query. The search query is the thing that they're typing into Pinterest. And notice how I just highlighted most relevant content for the search query. What does relevance mean, or how do I become more relevant to Pinterest? Relevance is all about how closely your pins match your audience's overall interest and specific search queries. And then you may be wondering, well, okay, that's great. So I need to match the search queries. I kind of knew that, but how do I actually do those things? Well, I'm going to go through and talk about that in more depth, but I want you to remember the search engine's goal is to match the most relevant content to a user's search query. So then the next question is, how do you make sure your content is relevant? And that's where we're going to spend majority of the time here in this video, is making sure that we can get the most relevant content to users so that we can show up higher in Pinterest and get more clicks, more traffic, more sales, more leads. So here are the things that you need to be considering when thinking about if your content is relevant or not. And I think the problem is most people, when they think about the relevance of their content, they only think about the pin itself, which is a massively important part of it. But a lot of times they neglect these other parts of Pinterest SEO and what the search engine is actually looking for. Here are some things that I want you to consider when you're trying to do Pinterest SEO to maintain relevance in Pinterest's eyes. The first is the domain quality. Now, Pinterest hasn't come out and exactly given you guidelines on a domain quality for all different websites, but they have given guidelines specifically for people who are applying for their merchant center to sell products on Pinterest. And I want to go through some of these because I think it highlights a little bit on things that Pinterest looks for when they're looking for a quality domain. So if we click on this link right here, it'll take you to a page that looks something like this. Now, like I said, some of these only apply to merchant pages. Like it says, can't be affiliate marketers. Obviously, you can do affiliate marketing on Pinterest. And then it talks about shipping policies, return policy. Like you have to have a shipping policy, a return policy, an about us page. Those are things that probably won't be applicable to you if you're just like running a blog or something like that. But I think these rules right here do hold some weight. So you can see here, merchant centers must have a high quality website and product page. We don't allow websites that have poor editorial content, including improper grammar, fuzzy images, broken links, incompleted pages, unoriginal content, domain age of less than 9 months, or have things like multiple pop-ups. And I'll leave a link to this down below, so if you wanted to go through and review it. Like I said, this is specifically for people who are selling product on Pinterest, but I think it applies to everybody. So make sure you don't have things like multiple pop-ups or spam or bad grammar on your website or fuzzy images, different things like that. The next is your profile quality. This includes not just your profile, but everything associated with your profile, including pins, your pinning activity, your boards. We're going to talk about how to optimize your pins and boards later on as well. And then the topic relevance. Is the pin and the destination actually relevant to the user's search? I think this is one that maybe people overlook sometimes. The destination of the actual pin is a big factor as well. And then finally, we have the last one, which is probably the most important, but I do want to make sure we understood the three before, and that is the pin quality. Pin quality is a measure of how popular and current a specific pin is, and the metric that you should be looking at to see how relevant and popular a particular pin is the saves. So let me tell you why I think saves are the most important metric to be looking at when it comes to rank your pins in Pinterest. So back in 2022, Pinterest came out with a program called the Creator Rewards Program. And as part of that program, when you hit certain milestones, you got paid out bonuses. Now, the interesting thing about this program is that almost every single one of the bonuses had something to do with getting a certain amount of saves on a pin. Literally every single milestone, the metric was how many saves can you get on a pin. You can see here's some examples, screenshots that I took. They were paying $150 for 50 saves, $250 for 100 saves on a pin. You can see I earned some here. And then even in the language that they were using with this program, you can see bonus, your content plus saves equals money. More saves, more money. Reward goal, hit saves goal, and then they would pay out those certain amounts. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because I think this gives you an idea of what's going on inside of Pinterest and the metric that they actually care about. They wouldn't be paying creators based on saves if it wasn't the most important metric to them. If another metric was more important, they would be focusing on paying people on impressions or on views or on clicks or different things like that. So I had this hypothesis for a while, and I was finally able to get on a call with a Pinterest rep and ask him point blank, what is the most important metric that Pinterest uses to decide relevance? And he told me straight up, it is saves. And if you're curious what I mean when I'm saying saves is the most important metric, if we take our example here, modern kitchen design, and I'm just looking through, you notice when you hover over these, there are little buttons right here that allows you to save the content to one of your boards. This is what I'm talking about. If I click here, I can either save this directly to this board, or if I wanted to choose a different board to save it to, say I wanted to save it to this kitchen backsplash, I hit here, that counts as a save for Pinterest. And the reason why they like this is because this is the easiest way for them to identify what actually is giving value to the consumer, because they're saving this directly to their Pinterest board, which means they clearly like it. And if you're curious on how I look at saves or how I measure the performance of saves, what I like to do is come to my analytics inside of Pinterest, just here into Pinterest and then overview. Reminder, you do need to have a business account to look at this information. You can switch over to business account really easy. And you come over here to metrics. It'll probably be on impressions, so you need to change it over to saves. This is the last 30 days. It will give you an idea of how many saves you are getting on a daily basis, basically. Then if you scroll down here as well, you can see your top pins based on saves. It's usually on impressions on the default, so you can change this over to saves. And then you can adjust the date range to get this longer. You see this is just the last 90 days or 30 days to give you an idea of which pins are generating saves for you. And this gives you an idea of like, okay, this pin is generating a lot of saves. How do I go through and create something similar to this and kind of replicate that success? Another thing that I like to look at is I like to come here to saves, and then I go to the save rate itself. So I like to keep a close eye on this as well on my save rate. Generally, I like this to be closer to this 0.78% for me. As you can see, over this in January, it's been a lot lower than I'd like it. It's starting to go up slightly again, but generally that's what I like to see inside of my account. So now we actually understand how the Pinterest search engine works and what metrics it's looking for when ranking pins. Let's actually talk about how we can optimize our pins to rank as high as possible. But remember, we want to make sure that we are optimizing for all different types of search, all pins, videos, boards, profiles, and products. So I'm going to go through each one of those scenarios and talk about how to optimize your Pinterest profile for each one of these. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the pins themselves. So here is your cheat sheet for SEO tips for pins. This is obviously a lot of bullet points in text. I'm going to run through how to do these each step by step here. So the first thing on this list is the most important thing, which is to make sure that you have relevance to the actual search query. And in order to have relevance to the search query, it all starts with keyword research. Now, if you're new to keyword research inside of Pinterest, I have a lot of different resources down below that go into more depth on how to do keyword research. I'm going to quickly go over on how to do keyword research real fast just for this example. But if you need more resources, if you want more in depth on how to do keyword research, check out those resources down below. But so what we're going to do is to do our keyword research, we're going to come over here to Pinterest. We're going to come to the search bar in Pinterest. We're going to make sure we're on the all pins here, and we're going to search for a keyword that we're interested in doing. So I have a pin right now that I want to do that is for an address sign. So I'm going to type this in, address sign. And what I'm doing here is I'm just basically looking to see what Pinterest is going to suggest to me for this particular keyword. Now, these keywords that Pinterest are suggesting to me is because people are searching for these often when they type in address sign. So you can see address sign ideas driveway, address sign, address ideas for front yard. All of these different ones, these would be great keywords. What you want to do is go through and take note of all of these, put them in a separate, I like to put them in like a Google Sheet or something like that. And that is how you can start doing your keyword research. If you need more ideas, what you can do is type in address sign, and then you can do A. And then what this is going to do is going to give you all the keywords that start with address sign space A. You can do the same thing, and it gives you, as you can see, 10 more keywords. You can do the same thing with B, and so on and so forth. So this is a great way to go through and find different keyword ideas. I think for my example right here, I like this keyword. It's a little bit more of a long tail keyword. I like this address signs for house. Now this is what we're going to build around for this particular example. So we're going to go with address signs for house. Now we have our keyword address signs for house. It's time for us to actually go through and make the content for this keyword. Now that brings us to bullet point number 3, and that is to make sure there is value in the pin, not just the destination. And I'm going to explain what I mean here, but I think this is a point that I cannot emphasize enough, and one that not enough people kind of understand. And what I mean by that is if we come over here to this example inside of Pinterest, remember, your goal is to get the most amount of saves inside of Pinterest as possible. The more saves you get, the higher your chances are to be relevant. The more relevant you are, the more you're going to show up in the top of Pinterest. Now, when we look at these 2 different examples, these are 2 that I found when I typed in how to start a blog. You can see this first one. It says the 12-month blog plan. And it goes through and it actually lists out some of the parts of the plan. The other one just has text on how to start a blog in 2023. Now, I'm not saying either of these pins are bad by nature, but this one right here is providing value on the pin itself separate from the destination. This pin right here, the whole purpose is to provide the value after you click on the pin. Which of these pins do you think gets more saves? And also, which of these pins do you think ranks higher inside of Pinterest? Well, the answer is right here. If we look blogging, if we just type in blogging, you can see here, literally the first results are all kind of the same formula. You can see 50 ways to make blogging, and they give you a little bit of value right from the beginning without even having to click the link. Same with this one right here. This one's showing up, but notice how it's an ad. This one is showing up as well, the 12-month blog plan. And it's actually showing you how to create a blog. Where this one, it's still showing up and it's still a good pin. I don't want to take away anything from this pin being an actual good pin, but I do think that there's a reason that these ones are ranking higher inside of Pinterest. It's because they're actually giving value. So with that in mind, I don't honestly think that this example that I have here is going to provide that much value. The value that it is giving a user inside of the actual Pinterest platform is giving them inspiration on like what signs to kind of make. But I want to go through and give them a little bit more value from the beginning before they actually go through and click through to the blog itself. So how I like to do that personally for the niche that I'm in is I'll come here to Canva and I'll go to Pinterest and I'll grab one of the Pinterest pins here. And then from that point, I'll go and upload my image. And I just asked myself the question, what would get my target audience to save this more? And I know that for me, knowing my target market is a lot of times people want to know the measurements of something or know how big it is. And so if I can provide them the measurements from this image, I think that provides a lot of value and can hopefully get more saves. So what I'll do is just come over quickly here to the elements. I'll look for the lines and shapes. I'll look for arrows, just like this. I like to see all arrows, and I like this one right here. I'll grab it, kind of put it along these lines, and then put this right here. And there we have it. Now I think that this is something that provides a little bit more value. And I do understand that this can be a lot harder. This can be challenging in other niches. And this isn't a hard and fast rule. I'm definitely guilty of just posting things that I like provide very little value, except for when a user actually clicks out into the link. But it's something that I want you to keep in mind. If there is an element that you can add to provide more value in the Pinterest platform itself, regardless of whether the user goes to your link or not, try to do so. And now that we're in here, we're going to move to this next step, which is to put your keyword in the source file. And what I mean by that is the actual download file. So we're going to take our keyword and we're going to name the source file address sign for house. Remember, we're just trying to show Pinterest that we are the most relevant pin for this particular search term. So the more data you can give it that this is about an address sign for houses, then the better. So we're going to name this source file and then we're going to go through and download this. Now we're going to come here to Pinterest. We're going to hit create. You can obviously do this on mobile or on desktop. We're going to go to a normal pin. We're going to go and select our folder here. So as you can see, this is named address sign for house. We're going to open that up here. So now we have this pin inside of here. We do want to make sure it's going into a relevant board. So I have a board that's already been built out for address signs, modern address signs, that we're going to put it inside of there. We're going to give this a title. We're going to name it the title of our keyword. So address signs for house. Next is to go through and write our actual description. Now, a lot of times, I'm not going to lie to you, I use AI to write my descriptions because I find that it does a faster job and a better job. So I come over here to a tool called Jasper that I like to use, and I'll just go through and grab my keyword. And it has this little formula for actually writing your pin titles and description. So we're going to tell them what this pin is about, the keyword that we want to rank for, and then our company or product name. We're going to call this House to Home DIY. And we can even go through and put the tone of voice, and we're going to put casual. Then we'll go through and hit generate here. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. So it goes through and spits out 3 different things for me to go through and use. And I really like this one right here. Having an easy to spot house address is key when hosting a party or just having people over. Make your house number stand out with one of these fun and easy DIY address signs. This is perfect. So you can see it's not like it's sprinkling in the keyword, but it's not keyword stuffing inside of there. So I'm going to go through, grab this, put this inside of here. And then finally, we have the destination link. We're going to go through and grab, this isn't a real pin. So this is like I have an address sign here. We're going to put this destination link there. And then we're now done. This thing is now ready and been optimized for SEO. We can go through and publish this immediately or publish it later. And we'll come back over to our thing. And so we added the most relevant pin. We pinned it to the most relevant board first. So that's important. We added the keywords in the title and the description. If you have text overlay, this is something that's important. I don't have text overlay on this one as much, but if you do, try to make it relevant to your keyword as well, because Pinterest can go through and read the text overlay, and then make sure the URL destination is relevant to search. So now we have our pin optimized for SEO. The next one is SEO tips for video. Now for video, it's a little bit different, but mostly the same. Everything that we just went through is the exact same, except for 2 things. You do want to make sure inside of videos, especially for idea pins, that you add tags, and then in your voiceover, make sure that you go through and mention keywords in your voiceover. Now, if you're curious on how to add tags, if you're coming into Pinterest and you come over here to create idea pin, this is for your video specifically, and we hit here create new, and we just drag and drop, or we just select one of these 5 unique accent wall ideas. You can see inside of here, so we're going to want to go through and tag the actual topic. So in here, you want to type in the keyword that you're wanting to rank for. So for here, we're going to type in like accent walls, and you can add up to 10 of these different tags. Now, Pinterest is still working on expanding out these tags, so some of the topics might not be in here yet, but make sure you just go through and type in your keywords and see which ones are relevant to what you're searching for. This, once again, helps show Pinterest what is relevant to this specific search. It's a very easy way to tell Pinterest, hey, this content is about an accent wall. And then same things apply where you want to go through and add a Pinterest title, and then also make sure you choose a relevant board. Another thing to keep in mind as well as this detail tab. In this detail tab, you can go through and add ingredients, supplies, notes, or none option. This basically gives you another chance to go through and add keywords and show relevance to Pinterest on that you should show up for a specific search query. So now we understand the tips for optimizing your videos for SEO. Let's actually talk quickly about the boards and how to optimize your boards for SEO. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to show you a real example. So if we look at the analytics inside of my account, you can see I have these couple of boards that are my kind of top performers here. I have this DIY house projects and this accent walls in living room. So I'm going to go through and show you what this accent walls in living room looks like and how I've optimized this to show up inside of search. So if we actually come over here and look at this board, you can see these are the different tips that I have. So I have add keywords to your board title. Obviously, we have the keyword here, accent walls, which we're trying to rank for. I didn't use accent walls because it was so... at the time when I created this account, it was so competitive that I wanted to do a more long tail keyword. And that's why I chose accent walls in the living room. So this is a quick tip. If you're wanting to rank a board, try utilizing long tail keywords instead of just using accent walls. Try accent walls in living room, or blue accent walls, or black accent walls in bedrooms, different things like that. The next thing is to make sure that you write a good description that includes your keywords, but don't keyword stuff. I think a lot of people overthink this. Mine's really simple. This board is all about finding the perfect accent wall that will match your living room. Honestly, these two, the title and the description are important, but the most important thing is the content actually inside the board. So make sure boards have at least 15 relevant pins inside of them. This one actually has over 100, and I think that helps it rank a lot better than if it would only had 15 inside of there. So try to get 15. If you get 15 is good, but the more the better. And inside of here, I have a lot of my own content, but I also repin other people's content. And I also do think that Pinterest does like to see that inside of boards. I know that a lot of businesses can't do that. I do have the luxury of being able to run that. And if you can pin other people's content in your boards, it does help a lot, in my opinion. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about SEO for boards. The last option for optimization here is how to optimize your profile. The first thing that you want to do is make sure you go through and claim your website. This comes with lots of different benefits, including letting Pinterest know that it's your website and the content there is from your website. So it helps out with SEO. In order to claim your website, you're just going to come here to settings, and then inside of here, you can get claiming accounts, and then make sure you claim that website. The next thing is that you do want to make sure you write a good description that includes keywords, but don't keyword stuff. The way that I did that for mine specifically here is I just put this profile for anybody looking for new DIY ideas. And then I go through like inspiration, and I do mention a couple different keywords inside of here, but it's still a cohesive sentence. The next one is to add keyword phrases to your profile name. This one's maybe a little bit outdated, but I still do it. You can see I have Corbin and then DIY house projects. I think this does help my profile get found a little bit more when people are searching for DIY house projects. But then once again, coming back to the same thing as the boards, the most important thing is the content that's actually inside of your profile. Make sure that you have 5 to 10 full bores, not bores, but full boards. You can see I have it's spelling error there, but the more the better, obviously. I think inside of mine, I don't even know how many. There's probably, I probably have like 30, 40 different boards inside of here. And so I would definitely recommend going through and creating the more boards, the better, obviously inside of Pinterest to optimize your profile. And there you have it, the no BS guide to Pinterest SEO. If you made it this far in the video, I would really appreciate it if you would like the video down below. It really does help the video to reach more people. And if you're interested in more Pinterest content just like this, be sure to subscribe so when new videos come out, you get notified. And that's everything that I have for you in this video. We'll see you in the next one.